Hello all, you are looking at Horizon Zero Dawn, the Frozen Wilds expansion content. Sony was nice enough to give me a copy of the game. Yes, this is your disclosure notification that PlayStation did give me this game. And with that, there are some rules they asked us, practically begged, to avoid spoilers, so there's a limited amount of content that I can actually show you guys. I'm not even sure if this is a spoiler, but if I don't show you anything new, what's the point in you buying it? So this is one of the towers, the new elements in this element of the game, with the new kind of sub-boss that's going on in this region. And it works kind of like the corruption, but it's purple. Purple has meanings if you're obsessed with the main game like I am. But I'm not going to spoil too much because, one, I haven't finished. It's fairly long, and I haven't had a chance to put as much time in as I'd like, but also it's more fun to go through and discover it. But you'll see, you can override these towers, and then zap. That is not as easy in other parts of the game as it looks there. There is a decent amount of challenge. It won't wreck you, but it doesn't play for you. It's a nice, relaxing. Some people may not find it relaxing. Some people may find it hard. I found it relaxing. I thought it was a good difficulty level for this kind of game, meaning it wasn't too easy, but it wasn't backbreakingly hard either. You can explore and look at the pretties and the shinies and sort of take in the game. Now, what's new here as opposed to just more? It doesn't reinvent the wheel, which I think is a good thing. As you can see, it's basically Horizon Zero Dawn, Frozen, and more wild. The name is apt. The weather effects are amazing. You'll see a nice sample of that, the day-night cycle, everything like that in this little preview. You'll see, if you recognize the colorful decorations, that this is Banuk territory, the group that has the blue stuff in their skins and leaves those little carvings all around the main game. Yeah, it is. So you get to learn more about that people, which were sort of a mysterious kind of underdeveloped element of the first game. So I like where they're going with this. It makes sense without making the main game feel incomplete, which is a good balance. That little clipped animule was perhaps something that PlayStation doesn't want you to see, but it's a funny bug, not a game-breaking bug, so I left it in because funny bugs are funny. But I do suggest you practice before you venture in. You're gonna see some pretty rough gameplay from me. That was all right. When I get to the machines, oh, I really had to get the rust off. So play, maybe if you haven't played in a while, play a few of the hunting grounds. Get used to the strengths and weaknesses, refresh yourself on the weapons and how to switch weapons on the fly and the various weaknesses. Use your scanner, use your focus mode, and remind yourself of what the various weaknesses are in the enemies, because it is tactical. It's not like some of those open world games where it plays itself for you. And you'll see, kind of almost got my butt handed to me here, but yeah, this was early on because practically everything I could show you once you really get into the thick of things is some sort of spoiler. It is pretty densely packed content. It raises the level cap, which if you're like me, you'd maxed it out, you'd hit level 50 and there was really no further to go. There's new weapons, there's new armor, there's an entire new skill tree that lets you do some pretty nifty stuff, including break down stuff without needing a vendor. So you can break down stuff for, I forget what they're called now, the shards, metal shards, that's what they're called, the metal shards that are one form of in-game currency. There's a new form of in-game currency for the Banuk in this expansion called Blue Gleam, which is much more rare, but if you want the really awesome extra weapons, armor, stuff like that, that this expansion offers. You're gonna have to go and do the side missions and collect that blue gleam because it is pretty cool. This armor, this new armor you're seeing, that can be bought for regular metal shards, and it's kind of nifty because it has a regeneration effect built into it. And that's a nice little thing because it is the Frozen Wastes, well, the Frozen Wilds. The enemies pack a punch, as you're noticing the new demonic version of the enemies, and your regular, you know, fatty meats, potions, and herbs don't quite do the job. Like I said, it's not a walk in the park. Maybe if you play less crappy than I did off the top, it won't be so bad. I did better. I did max out my herb pouch later on. There are new level ups. There are new, thank you, Loki. There are new animals to hunt as well, including goats, badgers, and squirrels. But the big thing is the new machines, and PlayStation asked us not to. So I'm going to show you guys the new twist on the tall neck. You'll remember the tall necks, those things you climbed. Well, this one in the Frozen Wilds, you got to fix it before you can climb it and use it to reveal stuff on this portion of the map, which I thought was neat. It's a similar mechanic. It just added an extra how do you do beforehand. And that's basically how the Frozen Wilds works. There you are. You see kind of where it is in the map. That's due north of the northeast corner of the map. So you see it's a fairly big new area with its own sort of environments and coolness. There's 4 or 5 new machines, and they are pretty impressive. The bulk, well, half of them ish at least are mini boss type enemies, more like the Snapjaws or the larger. So they're pretty cool, which I think is why they don't want to show them, because you want to be surprised and you want to have that oh my god experience the first time around. But the gameplay is similar. Stay calm, don't freak out. You know, pick your moments, play tactically, use your weapons, use your trip ropes and your bombs and your mines and all that stuff, and you will be okay. The main point of this is just for more game, for fans of the series, or for people who haven't played yet because they didn't have a, you know, PS4 a couple years ago, or they want to revisit it on the PS Pro. I didn't. This is regular vanilla PlayStation 4 footage. It still looks pretty awesome. So, and it also, you know, the Game of the Year edition. And I hate Glinthawks. I hate Glinthawks so much. I have never been good at fighting these blinking things, but they're there. I don't know of anybody, none of my friends who play this game like the Glinthawks. We hate you, Glinthawks. Nobody likes you. But yeah, the whole purpose is, if you really like the first game, it's just more content. There are pretties, there are different environments, there is more. The one improvement, I think, and this is going to be subjective, if you watched my original sort of reviewing process of Horizon Zero Dawn, I did say I found the RPG elements quite weak, including the fact that I found some of the supporting characters kind of cardboard and not very interesting. I do find the supporting characters I've encountered so far are better. They're better performed. They're better conceived. They have more character. Some people may find some of them annoying because they are designed as comic relief. I liked them. I thought it added a life to the levels that are a lot of exploration and puzzling. There are a lot of puzzles this time around, which I liked. I love my puzzles. As much as I love the combat, the sandbox combat in this game, it does need to be paced. Any combat needs to be paced. You need breaks from just, oh my god, fire and ice and electricity and corruption and all that stuff. So I think overall it's well balanced. It gives you enough new stuff that it is worth the money. I don't remember how much it costs right now, but it's tough for me when it says it is $26.99 in the PlayStation Store. I think that's Canadian price, so it will be less in Americas, where most of you are watching from. But I think it gives enough that it is certainly worth that. I would definitely say it's worth, and you add Canadian taxes, $30. There's a goat. But it is definitely worth that. It is very much for fans of the game. If you didn't like the first game, I don't know why you wouldn't like the first game. It's shooting robot dinosaurs in the face with fire. There's nothing not to like about that. But if you just don't like open world games, it is still that. But there's very little pad, I found, in the map. If you played the first game, played a lot of the first game like I did, there was a lot of wandering around, getting from piece to piece, collecting stuff. There is new collection stuff, pigments, new figurines, stuff like that, but it's not like collect a bazillion things to complete a set. Most of the time it's like 3 to 5 items per set. So it doesn't try your patience too much. And I do think it is, I guess because they had the opportunity to work on this one small chunk of the game and make it really good, and tighten it up and make sure it's well paced and dynamic and interesting and good, that they really focused on the quality because the fundamentals were already so solid. And the new weapons are mostly upgraded versions of the old ones. There are some twists, but you will want them. It makes your experience more fun, and it does add just that extra bit of content for people who haven't played yet and are like, oh, the game's a bit old, should I play it? Yeah, it's worth playing. You see, it opens up extra slots in your inventory as well, which is nice. And I may be biased on the extra stuff they explored. It's pretty much a continuation of the ending of the game, the first game, if you remember it. So if you're wondering sort of where they're going and what existing characters they're exploring, that's a bit of a clue for people who finished it. For people who haven't finished the base game yet, you don't have to. You only have to be about level 30-ish to play the Frozen Wilds, although it will be a challenge. I really messed this part up here. It will be a challenge if you're going in right at level 30, but you can do it. This is one of the Blue Gleam caves. Blue Gleam caves. Wow, that is a tongue twister. That are new. This is a sort of a Banuk. It's coveted among the Banuk for various reasons. And it's an excuse to go into snowy caves and get a different sort of environment. It isn't all wilderness like this. It does have some of that techie stuff too. So don't worry if you liked the more post-apocalyptic technical, technology elements of the game. That is still very much there. There's some very cool ruins as well, but I don't want to show them to you because I want you to discover them for yourself. So I'm just going to leave some gameplay now for you. I'm going to jump to the Tallneck Resurrection for you so you can see that, and just let you enjoy the awesome. There's some Blue Gleam. That's the new stuff, the new resource, and you can buy specific Banuk weapons with that. But let's just jump to the Tallneck so you can see it rise, and that coolness, so you can get a sense that yes, there is still a tall neck. There's new hunting grounds. There's a new bandit camp. All this stuff, all the content you would expect in an area of a Horizon Zero Dawn map is still here. And I was quite happy about that because sometimes when these expansions come out, they get very, very focused on the story and it feels like a real diversion. This feels like an extension, which I liked better. I have no complaints with just more game to play with a different kind of pretty, because I loved the first game for what it was. It's just an experience. It's fairly accessible, moderate difficulty. Doesn't stress you out too much, doesn't challenge you too much, but doesn't bore you either. Here we are with the tall neck. I edited out how to get the bits and bobs in so I can just show you the override and the rise. Rise, you magnificent bastard. Here it goes. Come on, that's awesome. That's awesome. Like, it's a very well-known element of the game. One of my favorite parts of these games because it's platforming. But yeah, now it's the familiar mechanics of the tall necks that you know and love. But look at that snow. It's so pretty. That's the whole point. Aloy gets new clothes and new toys and some new friends and revisits some old friends, and it's just more game. But look at that particle stuff going on. Look at the way it actually creates whiteout conditions realistically instead of back in the day where you had to hide a draw line. That's amazing. That's just beautiful. I know it has absolutely nothing to do with how the game plays, and this is the kind of stuff that drives up the cost of these games and leads to in-app purchases and microtransactions and all the stuff nobody likes. But man, that is pretty, and this is to me part of the experience of PlayStation first party, right? It is these sort of feast for the senses experiences that you just sort of immerse yourself in the game, and it's accessible enough that lots of different types of people can play it and not find it too hard, but you do still swap out weapons and all that stuff. But it's just an interesting diversion. It's just an interesting world. And here's the new skill trees. You see there's 8 new skills, the Traveler tree. And you see there's a heightened level cap and everything like that too. Awesome sauce. It's just more, and it's just more pretty, and I'm gonna bail out now fairly soon because I don't want to show you guys how to climb the tall neck. That ruins the fun for you. Why should I do it for you? Play the game. Games are fun, and games are meant to be played, not watched. So if you like what you see, buy the game. Don't just watch Let's Plays. I'm not saying that because Sony gave me the game. I'm saying that because I have a philosophical thing about games are meant to be played, not watched. And if you don't have the money and this is the only way you can stay current and you don't have the time, awesome. But if you can play the game, do play the game because the gameplay on this one's really good.